Almonte's Key Food, proudly serving communities throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island for over 30 years. When you shop Key Food, you'll always find fresh products, great weekly specials, and exceptional personalized service. Visit at any of their Key Food stores at 8235 153rd Avenue, Lindenwood, New York, 935 Rosedale Road, Valley Stream, New York, and 6620 Avenue U, Brooklyn, New York.
This is The Other Side of Midnight.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
With Walter Sterling.
Midnight Misfits. Walter Sterling. The Other Side of Midnight.
It's 5 minutes past the hour. There's only one story that actually is important. And there are many things you and I are going to discuss tonight, including mud floods, mysterious rivers. Why are all of those windows bricked up in buildings from 1880? What is behind those bricked up windows? Oh, well, that's a safety hazard. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It's much scarier. And until about 1900, there were many communities that had free energy. What happened to that? But the UFO story is one that you and I have discussed every night of my show for my entire career. You hear what I said? Every night on every show I have ever done, I have discussed UFOs. And I've had UFO experts on every night. Now, when I look at so-called television and so-called news stations, I'm looking at Fox News and CNN and Mr. News and your old news and NBC, ABC, and CBS. Here is the disclosure of our lifetime. The disclosure of our lifetime. What Donald Trump has said, I am going to release the files that no other president has ever released. They asked Bill Clinton, they said, are there UFO files? And he looked at his vice president, and the two of them looked at the camera and said, no, we've done some looking, but we can't seem to find anything. Oh, I don't know. And Trump's the first one to say, I'm going to release files. And then he does. That is the news of the century. Because for 90 years, the United States government has said, we don't have anything. We don't know. We have no idea. We don't know what's going on. And as a result, many theories have exploded. Many theories have been attached to other news stories related to UFOs. Epstein, UFOs. Kennedy assassination, UFOs. Oh, and about the Kennedy assassination, let's review all of the reasons John F. Kennedy was killed. His brother annoyed the mafia. After the mafia got Joseph Kennedy in a profound relationship with bootleg booze, and then they got John elected in Chicago. Remember that? And then the mafia was annoyed that he was screwing around with some of the moles of the mafia. Who else? Oh, yeah, Cuba wanted to have him killed. Russia wanted to have him killed. Oh, and the Federal Reserve Bank. He was going to end the Federal Reserve Bank, go back to the gold standard, get him killed. All of that. And I could go on and on. But it's attached to it. The UFO is attached to that because we don't have an answer on the Kennedy assassination, and we don't have an answer on the UFOs. Good thing to bring together. But every show I've ever done in my life has had a segment, a section on UFOs. Not with me speculating, but I bring in actual journalists and researchers. I don't bring in wild-eyed theory people who also mention things about shamrocks. I've actually heard that. And fairies. I've actually heard that. You and I talk about UFOs from a standpoint of facts. There have been interviews recently saying, are there more files? Are there going to be any more files? And they ask congressmen, senators, they ask people who used to work in the government, people who wrote books 3 years ago, all of that nonsense. Nonsense! I have real journalists answering that question. Thursday, we had on Ross Coulthart, News Nation. News Nation is the only news source besides this show that has extended reports about UFOs and about those reports being released. And therefore, you and I have a profound relationship with Ross Coulthart. Ross is on this show every Tuesday night and every Thursday night, giving us the latest information as a hard-nosed newsman who is also fascinated by the topic. Listen to what Ross said when I asked him, Ross, do you expect any more files to come out, and do you expect anything big coming out? Or is it going to be more of the same, Ross? Are we just going to see more TikToks, white on a screen, white on a black screen, go, doo, 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 doo. Oh, my gosh, look, there's a Air Force pilot. He saw a little dot. Woo, woo. That's crap. Ross, do you think there are significant news stories that are going to come out of these files?
Well, there definitely is more, my friend, because I speak every day to people in defence, intelligence and private aerospace who are telling me what they see on servers like the confidential, highly classified JWICS server, which is a top-secret compartmentalised server, on which a lot of quite extraordinary anomalous videos are stored. And quite a lot of the videos that have been released in the last few weeks by the War Department have come from that server. And because of the highly classified nature of compartmentalized intelligence, if you've got a top secret compartmentalized security clearance, you can actually log on and look at the videos that haven't been released. And I can tell you, my friend, I've been told, for example, about one where there's a B-52 pilot flying a B-52, and there is literally a craft, an alien craft, a constructed vehicle flying parallel with the B-52. And through the cockpit window, you can see what allegedly, I'm told, looks like a being, something looking back at the crew. There's all sorts of videos that I can see already are not going to be released by this administration. I fear that the president may be being played with by the War Department, and that this whole UFOs.gov website that's being created on the War Department is essentially a way of appeasing the public, giving, a bit like the Epstein files, the illusion of transparency, the mythology of transparency, but in reality, it's just a big, fat nothing.
Ross Coulthart, your friends, your associates, your contacts that suggest there's much more. Is there a timeline? Do you think when we're going to see it? Do you have any idea when we might see what they're referring to?
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, my friend. I fear we're never going to see it. I think that there's been a decision made inside the administration at the level of the CIA, certain people in the Defense Intelligence Agency. They don't want you to know it. They don't want the public listening to this right now to know it. And I think they've miscalculated, because when you have now well over 1 billion people going to the war.gov/UFOs website and taking a huge interest in the subject of UFOs, when you have an administration official talking about these are not human technologies, this is not a human craft, I don't think the public's going to accept President Trump, sadly, doing another Epstein. You know, we were given a very, very lackluster release of the true number of Epstein files. So many of them have been redacted. The president did the same with the JFK files. There are still people from the UAP caucus fighting to get access, because they're part of the Transparency Oversight Committee, to the JFK files, because they actually do think the JFK assassination is linked to what the president's position was on being more open with Russia, the Soviet Union, about UFOs. And so there's still an enormous, I think, state within a state. The president ran a campaign on the whole idea that there was a deep state. And it's funny, my friend, I came into this whole research thinking that that was a nonsense, that that was a wacky conspiracy theory. But the more I see nameless men and women from inside the intelligence community blocking putting steps to try and hinder the public's right to know. After all, the public's paying for this. Your listeners, every American taxpayer, is paying for the enormous data collection that has gone on for 80 plus years on UFOs. And for years, the American public have been gaslit and told it's rubbish, it's ridiculous, don't listen to this nonsense. Nobody's interested in UFOs, least of all the government. And now we know they've been lying through their teeth. And what are they doing? They're gaslighting us. They're basically releasing the dross, the little bits of chook feed on the floor of the hen house.
Dross. The dross. Walter Sterling with Ross Coldhart. Ross, journalist, reporter for News Nation. What is the name of your feature on News Nation? When can we see that?
Sir, you can see it on Reality Check on YouTube, and anyone can go to the News Nation site and download the app, and you can watch to your heart's content as many UFO videos as you want, because as a network, we love covering this issue.
It's amazing, Ross Coldhart from News Nation. I don't understand why your network, News Nation, and this radio network are the only ones covering it the way it should be, which is actual news. Ross Coldhart, thank you, live from Australia. That was a recording of Ross last week. And again, we are so far ahead of this story. There's Ross Coldhart with his high-level contacts, revealing exactly that there is a secret server, a secret computer server that has all of these videos, all of these pictures, and that if you have clearance for that server, you can see it, you can reveal it. Tim Burchett, congressman, also on the other side of midnight with Walter Sterling and John Katzimatidis. John and I talked to Tim Burchett. This sums up his feelings about the files, the likelihood of them being released.
I don't know if we're smarter today, but we're more informed, and I think more people are going to start asking questions. But what you have to really, what I'm excited about is we have a president that kept his word, and it thinks that he's not the overlord of the American people, can decide what information we can have. And it's from what I understand, it's, the deep state as well as I do, it's just a fist fight to get this stuff out. Now, the first batch of articles and classified videos and things are out, and there's going to be a lot more. But it's going to be tough to get it out because these departments don't like us having this information for whatever reason. He's got his top people working on it, and again, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, and people are going to demand more. And you're talking about stuff that our Apollo moon people spotted on the moon, something out there, and we've got instances where FBI agents have witnessed things, so that's going to be coming out as well. So I'm looking forward to all of it. The first time they were going to release some stuff, you remember they delayed it, and then what came out was just a redacted piece of Swiss cheese that had a bunch of holes in it and whited it out and gave very little information. Trump has kept his word. He's the first president to do this, so I'm very excited where we're headed with this thing. I really am, because more people are asking questions, more people in Congress. I mean, I've got bullies that always in Congress say something smart aleck to me, but the real question is, as taxpayers, what the heck are we spending tens of millions of dollars on? And if they don't exist, why have they pushed so hard for the last years to keep it undercover?
No, the real question is, members of Congress and Senate have access to many of those files. Release them. They're not secret. Do you know why? Because those events took place in the sky. Any of us could have seen it. Any of us could have taken pictures of it. It's public knowledge. Now, this is terrible news. Melissa Cassius was among those flagged by FBI and House oversight investigators into nuclear-linked disappearances. She's been discovered. She disappeared. A hitchhiker discovered the body of Melissa in New Mexico. She was a nuclear lab worker, and she's been discovered. Her body's been discovered. One of the One of the bodies of the 11 mysteriously missing persons that had potential ties to U.S. nuclear secrets or rocket technology has been discovered by a hiker in New Mexico. Police identified the remains of Melissa Cassius, a missing Los Alamos National Laboratory worker. Her disappearance became part of a wider swirl of speculation over scientists and lab-linked employees who vanished or died under unclear circumstances that sparred President Trump's attention and a House Oversight Committee's investigation. More details coming up in seconds. The Other Side of Midnight, Red Apple Audio Networks.
The Other Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling. It's The Other Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling.
Walter Sterling, the biggest all-night show in American radio.
Go-getter in trouble. Details later. The people of Walmart. Walter Sterling, The Other Side of Midnight, Red Apple Audio Network.
Hi, I'm retired NYPD Detective Vic Ferrari. And on tonight's episode of Confessions of a Retired Detective, find out what happens when a presidential candidate and a Secret Service entourage comes through the wrong door at a public speaking event. Coming up in moments with Walter Sterling on The Other Side of Midnight.
Florida's got Scarface in the south, Disney in the middle, Deliverance in the north, and a whole bunch of beer. I'm James Parker. Florida Stories is coming up on the Red Apple Audio Networks.
The Other Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling. On the Other Side of Midnight.
You and I can discuss these UFO revelations at 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. This show is so far ahead of this story, it's embarrassing to me. Embarrassing to me for my colleagues when I see them going on TV or radio and talking about things you and I discussed a month ago, 2 months ago, discussing books that were published 3 years ago. What the hell is this? This is the biggest story in our lifetime. There is no bigger story. And it's not about the TikToks on the screen. It's not about, maybe it had something to do with JFK's assassination. And no, they're missing the lead. The lead is, for the first time ever, the United States government, thanks to Donald Trump, has said, yes, there are UFOs. Yes, there are UAPs. Yes, there are files. And we're going to start to release the files. Nobody else ever admitted it before. You and I would speculate, well, gee, the government must have files on this. Okay, but there was no confirmation of that. That was just a fairy tale. We just speculated on it like a fairy tale. It's been released. They started releasing them a month ago. Oh, my gosh. NBC, are they leading with that on their so-called snooze? No. CBS, don't even go there. ABC, are they discussing that? No, they're nowhere near it. Some networks touch on it every now and then. But tonight, just now, I have spent 10 times more time on the UFO story than any other source of information. Right now, 10 times more. With real journalists like Ross Coulthart and Tim Burchett's comments. And it was interesting that Burchett and Ross Coulthart said the same thing. They both said there's a deep state making it difficult to release the information. They both believe there's big stuff, and the difference was that Ross doesn't think it's going to be released. Ross thinks ultimately the deep space will win, and we will keep an eye on that race. We'll keep an eye on the deep space rate and share it with you and give you a chance to talk about it at 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. We also were the first to release news that the major general in Arizona, who was profoundly involved with the UFO program, major aware of the UFO program, all information on UFOs came to this military military officer. He is a major general. He left his house at 11 one morning in Arizona, and we haven't seen him since. Not at 2 in the morning, not drunk. This is a sober, sane, brilliant military officer who left his house and knew too much. His wife said the only reason he would disappear is if he wanted to disappear. He was one of those guys, a major general. They still haven't found him, but we released that story. Ross was the very first one to report that on this show. Melissa Cassius was among those flagged by FBI and House oversight investigators under nuclear-linked disappearances. One of the bodies of the 11 mysteriously missing persons that had potential ties to U.S. nuclear secrets or rocket technology has been discovered by a hiker in New Mexico. Police have identified the remains of Melissa Cassius, a missing Los Alamos National Laboratory worker. Her disappearance became part of a wider swirl of speculation over scientists and lab-linked employees who vanished or died under unclear circumstances. That spurred President Donald Trump's attention and a House House Oversight Committee investigation. It's a very small font, ladies and gentlemen. The New Mexico State Police Investigation Bureau was informed Thursday that the hiker found Cassius in the McGaffey Ridge of the Carson National Forest with a handgun alongside her. Remains. A handgun alongside her remains. Whoa. The cause and manner of death have not been determined. They're going to have to do further anthropological examination. They're reviewing her remains. That means she's been there a while. They have found one of the Los Alamos scientists who disappeared, one of the 12 who disappeared in a New Mexico forest. Melissa Cassius. Melissa Cassius, family, we're sorry. It's sad. Related to rocketry. She's a rocket technology expert, UFOs. But the news, besides her death, and I'm sorry, the other news is that for the first time in history, the United States government has said, yes, there are UFOs. Yes, we're releasing files. Ross Coulthard and the senator and the congressman are saying, there's a lot there, but we're not so sure that's going to be released. And I keep having to adjust my headphones. Thank you for your patience. I don't know why they're giving me a hard time tonight. But that's the story on UFOs. We're going to have another update with Dave Scott at 3 a.m. And we're going to, that interview, that conversation I had with Ross Coulthard is so important, and so much was revealed in that, as always. There's no other media source that has this much information, cutting, breaking news, than this show. Nobody comes close. A 3-minute report? What? I'm sorry. No report on NBC, no report on CBS, no report on ABC. Hi! We have the information, and we share it with you the minute we get it. We actually break the stories that others pick up later. That's what we do. Why is that? Oh, because this is the other side of midnight. And you and I are on KDKA in Pittsburgh, WABC in New York, great radio stations like Chicago's WGN.
Midnight Misfits, Walter Sterling, the other side of midnight.
All right, Walter Sterling with Edward Jones. Now, I want to explain this. Edward Jones has a fantastic background, amazing background, and I'm going to ask him to give his bio again because I know him and I don't need to hear the bio, but you need to hear his bio. Who the hell is this guy? The reason I have him on, besides the fact that he has a very deep voice and he was in the Marines, and I'm scared of all Marines, is because he's able to simplify the situation in Iran, the Straits of Hormuz, all of that for me in a way that I, Walter Sterling from New Jersey, can actually understand I can't say it'll be helpful to you, but it might be. Edward Jones, please sum up what seems to be a progressively chaotic situation in the Middle East.
Yeah, thank you, Walter. Thanks for having me on again. My background is about 30 years in international telecom technology and venture capital and a whole bunch of other things. I had government clients. I had U.S. corporate clients, international clients, and had kind of an interesting background. Taught at two universities here in New York, business and entrepreneurship, and know a little bit about geography. So there we go. But it's interesting right now. We're really in a. Trump said that he was going to come back and make a decision on Saturday. Was in the Situation Room for a couple of hours. They claim to have edited the what they call a memorandum of understanding, and I'm not sure if the Iranians even know what that is, but they call it a proposal. We took their response to our proposal. Trump was supposed to have edited it up and sent it back to them. Now, understand that these negotiations, they call it negotiations, but really they're not face-to-face negotiations. They go through Pakistan. So, we send our proposal to Pakistan. Pakistan then routes it somehow to the Iranians. The Iranians have a friend in Oman there. One of their closest, their closest neighbor friend is Oman, and they trust them greatly. They get advice from them and some other places there. But it's all indirect, okay? It's through the go-between Pakistan. And there is not face-to-face talks right now. Baked into the Iranians is this enormous distrust of the U.S., which is 47 years of, I call it the crust of distrust. They really, just protract this. And, where we are right now is, I call it, I have a term for it, Iran is practicing strategic patience. And in their view, they're winning the war. I mean, this is the way they think. This is what they believe. And their goal, as I mentioned before on air here, is that their goal is to survive. They just want the IRGC, which is the regime, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is the hardcore Islamist military faction there. They are the regime. The younger son, Khamenei, is we haven't heard from him. We don't even know if he's alive, actually. He was severely injured when they killed his father in that attack, and he hasn't been really heard from since. But Elise Labott, who I really admire and like her analysis, her reporting, she is a terrific person, very experienced in this area, and she's saying that Iran, the bomb now, which with the nuclear stuff, has kind of faded into the background, if you will. And it's all on the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. It's been closed for 4 months, which again gives the IRGC the perception, the belief that they're winning. They have the leverage, still have the leverage in the Strait of Hormuz, and they've trapped about 1,000 to about 1,500 ships, by the way, that are hanging out back in there in the Persian Gulf. They're causing global economic pain by keeping the strait closed, and they're causing Trump enormous political pain, not only in the U.S., but among his partners and allies in Europe. And the other thing, too, is that, the mainstream media loves to talk about sticking points. Oh, we have sticking points here, These are not sticking points. These are, I call them, chasms of disagreement. I mean, they're really far apart. I mean, we could take a look at some of those right now if you'd like, but that's how I see it right now. We really don't know, and I've said this before, it's very complex, very complex, particularly going through an intermediary like Pakistan. But anyway, that's where we are right now. It's just a major impasse.
What are some of the sticking points? One or two of the sticking points that I could actually understand? Well,
Iran, we've been saying red lines, nuclear. We want their agreement that will never make a bomb. The only thing they've agreed on right now is a 60-day ceasefire that started April 17th. So the clock is ticking on that. But Iran wants an end to the war. They want a guarantee that the U.S. and Israel will not attack them anymore. They don't want a quote unquote ceasefire. They want an end to the war. They want a guarantee against, say, these future attacks. They want all U.S. forces to remove from the region, all our bases there, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, these other countries. They want money. Money. They want a release of the $3 or $4 billion in frozen assets they claim belongs to them. They want the lifting of all the sanctions, total relief. They want their ports opened. They want the blockade taken down. And they want war reparations for all the damages that we caused to them.
But then my question is,
they want.
Right. My question then is, or what? If we say, no, we're not going to do any of that, or what? What leverage do they possibly have at this point? All their Harry Potter type leaders have been killed. We don't actually understand who's running it. Their nuclear program decimated. Trump says their ships are gone, their missiles are gone. What are they going to do if we say no?
Right now, they are, I say, the strategic patience that they're practicing, which is leverage. Okay, they see Trump losing his government in the midterm elections, and they see the U.S. not putting boots on the ground, trying to do this from the air. But they control the Strait of Hormuz. They've mined the thing. It's a 3-4 months process to take out the mines. So right now their leverage is the holding the Strait of Hormuz hostage, if you will, and reckoning that Trump is going to run into trouble, and they can wait him out. And as I say, these people are fanatics. The IRGC is the regime. They are Islamists. They're crazed. They drink the Kool-Aid, and we've seen what they've done. They killed 30 to 40,000 of their people when they tried to protest. They'll do this again, and so this is their leverage. Their leverage is right now the Strait of Hormuz, plus the notion that Trump will lose his government in the midterms, which Trump doesn't seem to be bothered by the way. He's just hanging in there. But yeah, the terrain is so treacherous around the choke point, the major choke point around the city of Bandar Abbas, and it would be just impossible. The political will is not there to put troops on the ground anyway, so that's not going to happen. So I think they'll just muddle this along, but don't expect the Iranians. From my analysis of this and talking to people, my sources, reading, what have you, I think this thing is just stuck right now. I really do.
I don't see it getting unstuck, and I don't see any leverage that they have waiting. Okay, so they wait. And then the Republicans win the midterm election. Then what do they do?
Well, that, again, is going to depend on getting the traffic out of the Persian Gulf through the strait. And that's going to depend on how fast, hopefully the Allies can help us, how fast they can demine the place. They can fend off the attacks of the SWIFT boats that they've been sending out. They have a lot of capabilities still that the IRGC can deploy. It's called asymmetric in military terms.
Yeah, I could never understand what you just said. All right, Edward Jones brings deep experience in international business development, military affairs, intelligence, and oil markets across the Middle East and beyond. He's also a ham radio operator. His call sign is W2LCQ. I'll give it again in a second. How did you do in the contest this weekend?
I did pretty well, actually. I made about 400 contacts globally and about 250,000 points, which I contributed to our club. And our club is number one right now in the U.S. We might be number one in the world, and we're moving along. Yeah.
W2LCQ. Edward Jones on the other side of midnight with Walter Sterling. Thank you, Edward.
We are fighting for the gays of Hormuz right now.
Respect to them. They need us to fight for them. I'm with it.
Gays of Hormuz are being attacked.
That's not cool.
Not good.
I'm a straight guy, but that's not cool.
Yeah, they're going for the Straits of Hormuz, but they're not willing to protect the gays of Hormuz.
You see, I'm a straight guy. I'm an ally.
What do you think when you do see a penis?
When I see a penis?
Yeah.
I don't know. Never seen one other than my own.
Walter Sterling, the biggest all-night show in American radio.
Breaking news, everything is bad. It's just as terrible as you imagined, and probably worse. With more, we go to Tom Lee Cruz. Tom Lee.
We're all in danger, Dan Lee.
What can we do?
Absolutely nothing.
It was good knowing you, Tom Lee.
I can't say the same.
That was unnecessary. We're just now getting in reports that all the children have exploded. They will be missed. Let's check in with Olivia Lee Rodrigo. Olivia Lee, where are you?
That's none of your business. Do you hear that? Cut the music. Do you hear that?
What do you hear?
That's the sound of us slowly dying. Can you hear it?
I can hear it. It's louder in my left ear.
Olivia Lee Rodrigo reporting
I actually have some more questions for you. Okay, we're going to go to Kevin Lee Costner, who has more with politics.
No, I don't.
Let's send it over to our senior correspondent, Nick Lee Minaj.
Look at this chart. Let's bring it up.
What am I looking at here?
I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
That looks bad.
Yeah, it's probably bad.
Let's go to our eye in the sky, Timothy Chalamet. Timothy.
Man, I am so high up right now.
You are in a helicopter.
I didn't know that when I got in. I thought it was a weird car.
What do you see up there?
Everything. It's too much. We were never supposed to see this. I need to go back down.
You stay right there.
Do you realize that because of you, this city is being overrun by baboons?
Well, isn't that the fault of the voters?
I grew up where somebody told you to keep talking. They wanted you to shut up. If they told you keep talking, that meant shut up now.
Yeah, that's how I was raised. You just keep talking like that. See what happens. That's how I was raised. That speaks for the entire state of New Jersey, Brooklyn, most of the Northeast. You just keep talking, see what happens. It's a completely opposite worldview from the rest of the country. Once you hit the Pennsylvania border and you're trapped in the Pennsylvania wilds, the worst place to have to drive through. You've driven through the Pennsylvania wilds, haven't you? On 81, 80, you've driven through it. And what do you know? There's nothing there. It's like the entire state of Ohio. There's nothing there. You drive through the Pennsylvania wilds. It's something they made up. The Pennsylvania state legislature had to make up something for this incredible expanse of nothing that goes from about Scranton to about Pittsburgh. Nothing. They decided to turn it into a wildlife experience. It's not a reserve. It's not a national park. It's just nothing. They renamed it the Pennsylvania Wilds. Every time I drive through it, what do I hear on my radio? The music from Deliverance, the theme from Deliverance. That's all I hear. I see that I can't say retard. I see that retard with the guitar playing that song on the guitar, that horrible song, and other people grabbing Ned Beatty and turning him into a pig. That was some movie. I hated that movie. However, that's the Pennsylvania Wilds. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. We have covered the important story tonight better than any other media source. Have you ever heard me brag about our coverage? No, because I just integrate it with the story like a professional talk show host. It's just part of the flow of things that we discuss. I don't stop it and do...
This is breaking news.
I don't do that because we break news. It's what we do all night. I don't have to do what others have to do.
This is breaking news.
Yeah, I don't have to do that because that's what we do. You and I talk. We reveal stories. Ross Coulthart, Dave Scott, UFO experts, and then icing on the cake, Robert Clotworthy. Robert, the voice of Ancient Aliens. He comes on and he gives us a sample of what's going to happen on Ancient Aliens. He comes on and he says, well, I've been talking to these guys and I know more than anybody else. And then he reveals what more he knows. Has this been turned into a promo yet, Chris? I don't think so. Where's my promo? Those are the opportunities that we have. We share information like this when nobody else...
Do you realize that because of you, this city is being overrun by baboons?
Well, Isn't that the fault of the voters?
The HOA has decided we are banning homeschooling.
You can't do that.
We can and we are. We can't have kids growing up here doing nothing and eventually causing crime.
What the hell are you even talking about?
Effective next quarter, households are limited to 5 occupants. Anyone above that number will need to either relocate or apply for an exemption.
I have 4 kids.
Then you're at 6 with 2 adults. You can apply for an exemption, but there's a fee.
Yeah, no way I'm paying that.
Ryan, the car.
Yeah, I just got it done.
It's purple.
Gloss metallic. Looks great.
The approved exterior vehicle colors are listed in Section 7. Purple is not on the list.
I can't choose my car color?
Not that color. Children are permitted. Obviously, that's not the issue. It's the intensity. When splashing becomes continuous, it's disruptive to all of us. Barb, I'm talking to you. Keep your kids under control. Going forward, any resident homeschooling a child is required to register with the HOA. Name of child, age, curriculum, and daily schedule.
Why does the HOA need our daily schedule?
So we can confirm education is actually taking place.
And
Oh
congratulations.
my God, that's none of your business.
It's Pride Month. Congratulations.
Lesbians in space, 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 the other side of midnight. Lesbians in space, space, space.
I can see that the poor girl already seems thoroughly in love with me. And what she lacks in rank, she certainly makes up for in fortune.
How are you celebrating Pride Month? Who is your gay celebrity crush? Who is your same-sex celebrity crush? Every person, by design, has a crush on a celebrity of the same sex. That's not you. You had no control over that. Makeup artists, hairstylists, script writers, they design scenarios, images, subliminal images that make you go, boy, that's really attractive. And then you realize it's the same sex as you. And it takes you back to junior high. And you're wondering, God, they're just so attractive. I'm always interested in knowing who your same-sex celebrity crush is. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. We have a robust menu of all-night conversation subjects. UFOs. Dave Scott's going to reveal to us tonight about his abductions. The man was abducted more than once. He isn't sure how many times. I said, are you sure it wasn't an alcohol blackout? He's sure it was not an alcohol blackout. Have you been abducted? Betty and Barney Hill were the first people to come out publicly and reveal that they were abducted. Where did they do that? They did it in 1960 on the Long John Nebel radio show, an all-night talk show based in New York City. Long John Nebel was the first one to do these subjects. Many have claimed it. Believe me, it's nobody else but Long John. He covered this, numerology, psychics, remote viewing. It all started on the Long John Nebel show. And Betty and Barney Hill were the first ones to say that they were abducted. It's also amazing to me what John used to do. John used to be on 6 hours a night from midnight to 6. Midnight to 6, ladies and gentlemen. And the other thing he did, which secured his ratings, his best friend was Jacqueline Suzanne, who wrote Valley of the Dolls. And what Jackie do? She read from her book, and then he read from Valley of the Dolls, a smutty book. He read it on the air, long passages, and then said, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot go on. I cannot go on. I can't allow this on a FCC licensed station. They will lose their license. And what'd you have to do? You had to go out the next day and buy that book. They sold 25 million books, and it was because of that. The best part of that story, so he did 6 hours a night, 6 nights a week, live, 6 nights a week, 6 hours a night. He did that from 1957 to 1975. Through the 60s, Long John, an overnight host, was the highest paid radio star in New York City, not the morning guy. Long John could sell anything because he was alone with you in the car. I'm alone with you in the car. You and I, in the truck, just us. If I give you an idea or a thought, or you call me, it's just between us. It's the most powerful medium there is, the most powerful medium to exchange ideas and entertainment and to sell stuff. Walter Sterling, Red Apple Audio Network's The Other Side of Midnight.
The Other Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling. The Other Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling.
It's the other side of midnight.
Confessions of a retired NYPD detective.
Starring Vic Ferrari. On the other side of midnight.
Hey, Walter. On tonight's episode of Confessions of a Retired Detective, I'd like to talk a little bit about the pressures that rookie cops come under. So when I first started with the NYPD in 1987, I was amazed at the amount of threats and innuendos I got starting in the police academy. From the moment you get hired, they tell you you're going to get fired if you screw up. There's random drug screenings, integrity tests, all sorts of things. And they're on top of you constantly because they want to condition you that it's not like the movies where anything goes. So when I went into field training, I was a little apprehensive about making arrests and getting involved sometimes. At one time, my field training sergeant pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Ferrari, put your helmet on and get in the game." Well, with rookie cops, they used us for a variety of things. And the fall of 1988, and Jesse Jackson was running for president of the United States, and he was going to give a speech at a community center in Co-op City in the Bronx. So the morning of, they grabbed about 15 of us rookies. They put us in a police van. But before that, they told us, listen, this is going to be on the national stage. There's going to be a lot of press there. Don't do something stupid. They drive us over to this community center. Out of the 10 of us, they put 5 inside and 5 outside. And I was unlucky enough to have the back door of this location. And I was told by my sergeant, and he says, listen, we were told the Secret Service is coming in through the front with Jesse Jackson. Anybody knocks on that door, do not let them in. I said, you got it, boss. About 15 minutes later, a lieutenant comes up to me. Hey, Ferrari, you like your job? Yes, sir. He said, okay. He says, anybody knocks on that door, don't let anybody in. I says, I got it, sir. And this went on. It just kept going and going until the chief of the Bronx showed up and told me I would go back to working for an exterminator if anybody came through that door. So I was like, I got it. So I'm standing at my post, and all of a sudden the radios start cracking, and we hear, he's here. So I'm watching that back door like my life depends on it, and I'm waiting for everybody to be coming through the front. And the next thing I know, I hear jiggling at the door. And I'm like, what the hell is this? They're supposed to be coming in through the back door. I hear jiggling. The next thing I know, the door opens up, and standing in the doorway is a mountain of a man, and it's Jesse Jackson. And I'm standing there like, what am I supposed to do? And he extends his hand, and he goes, hello, officer. And I said, hello, Mr. Jackson. And I shook his hand, and he came rushing past me with the Secret Service and reporters and everything else. I wasn't going to be the one to throw this guy out of his own event. Later on, my sergeant came up to me and said, well, Ferrari, you'll go far on this job. I said, why is that? He goes, you didn't exactly disobey an order, but you didn't put yourself in harm's way either. So for more behind the scenes NYPD stories, be sure to check out my new book, NYPD, Behind the Blue Wall of Silence, available on Amazon. I'm retired NYPD detective turned author Vic Ferrari with Walter Sterling on the other side of midnight.
More talking, Walter Sterling, the other side of midnight.
Melissa Cassius was among those flagged by the FBI and the House Oversight investigations into nuclear-linked disappearances. One of the bodies of the 11 mysteriously missing persons that had potential ties to U.S. nuclear secrets or rocket technology has been discovered by a biker on a New Mexico national forest. Police have identified the remains of Melissa Cassius, a missing Los Alamos National Laboratory worker. Her disappearance became part of a wider swirl of speculation over scientists and lab-linked employees who vanished or died under unclear circumstances. Well, that spurred President Donald Trump to pay attention and a House Oversight Committee to investigate. One of the 11 people who disappeared, Melissa Cassius, has been found. Her body's been found. Her remains have been found. The remains have been there a while, and they're doing an anthropological autopsy to determine why she died. There was a gun found next to her. There was a gun found next to her. And the Major General, who left his house at 11 in the morning, he left his watch and his cell phone, but he took his gun. A Major General. All the details you want, plus you and I are going to talk about the new news of Savannah Guthrie's mom. Red Apple Audio Networks.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.